He promised my brother he'd protect me. Now my life's in danger, Part 1. The smell of industrial bleach always hit her lungs first, sharp and chemical, slicing through the hotel's recycled air like a warning. Lisa pushed her cleaning cart down the 4th-floor hallway, the left wheel squeaking in its familiar rhythm. Squeak roll, squeak roll. She'd asked maintenance to fix it twice. They never did. Her lower back already ached. She'd been on her feet since 6, and it wasn't even 8. The hotel was waking up around her, doors opening and closing, the distant ding of elevators, muffled voices behind walls. She kept her head down, hands on the cart handle, making herself small the way she'd learned to do in foster homes. Invisible, efficient, no trouble. Room 402 first. She swiped her keycard, magnetic strip wearing out, took 3 tries, and pushed the door open with her hip. The guest had already checked out. Bed unmade, sheets tangled, a half-eaten bagel hardening on the desk, coffee ring on the nightstand. Lisa stripped the bed with practiced movements, her hands moving on autopilot. Pull the fitted sheet, ball it up, toss it in the cart. She didn't think when she cleaned. That was the point, just the rhythm of it. The satisfaction of making chaos disappear, even if only temporarily. The bathroom mirror was fogged from someone's shower. She wiped it down with a rag that smelled like lemon and fake flowers, watching her reflection emerge from the steam. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a bun that was already coming loose. 26 years old, and she looked tired. She was tired, but tired paid rent. Tired kept the lights on. Tired was better than the alternative. By the time she finished room 406, her hands smelled like chemical cleaner no matter how many times she washed them. She straightened slowly, pressing her knuckles into the tight spot above her hip, and glanced down the hallway. That's when she saw him. A man. Standing near the elevator at the far end. Tall enough that she noticed. Dark suit that looked expensive even from a distance, hands in his pockets. Just standing there. Guests didn't do that. They went to their rooms or they left. They didn't linger in hallways. He was looking at her. Not staring, not the way men sometimes stared when they thought she wouldn't notice. This was different, steady, intentional, like he'd been waiting. Her pulse kicked up, just slightly, just enough to notice. She turned back to her cart and pulled it toward the next room, keeping her gaze down. The wheel squeaked louder in the quiet hallway. When she glanced back, he was gone. Lisa exhaled slowly, shaking her head. Paranoid. She was being paranoid. He was probably just a guest waiting for someone, or lost. It didn't mean anything. But the feeling stayed with her, that prickle at the back of her neck, the sense that she'd been seen in a way she didn't quite understand. She finished the 4th floor and took the service elevator down to restock her cart. The hotel lobby was busier now, guests checking out with their rolling suitcases, front desk staff answering phones in low, polite voices. Lisa kept her head down as she passed through, invisible. She was refilling her towel stock in the supply closet when Karen found her. Lisa! She jumped, nearly dropping the stack of washcloths. Her manager stood in the doorway, clipboard tucked under one arm, expression unreadable. Sorry. Lisa's heart was still racing. I didn't hear you. Karen waved it off. You're fine. I just need to tell you something. That tone, that look. Lisa's stomach tightened. She'd heard that tone before, right before bad news. Am I in trouble? What? No. Karen frowned. Why would you be in trouble? I don't know. You just... Lisa stopped, shook her head. Never mind. What is it? Karen glanced at her clipboard, then back up. We have a guest in one of the suites, room 418. Long-term stay. He requested you specifically for housekeeping. Lisa's hands went still on the towels. Me? Yeah, by name. Her chest went cold, ice cold, like someone had opened a window in winter. I don't know anyone staying here. Well, he knows you. Karen's frown deepened. Or saw your name tag, I don't know. Corporate approved it. You'll handle his room starting today. Lisa's mouth felt dry, sandpaper dry. Who is it? Karen checked her clipboard. Victor Hale? The name didn't mean anything. She didn't know of Victor Hale. But something about it made her skin prickle, made the air feel thinner. Okay, she said quietly. Karen studied her for a moment, the way she used to look at Lisa when she first started, like she was trying to decide if this girl was going to last or break. Then she nodded. Suite 418, 4th floor. You can start after lunch. Lisa watched her leave, still holding the towels, her mind racing. Victor Hale, room 418, 4th floor. The man in the hallway. Lisa stood outside room 418 for a full 30 seconds before she knocked. Her cart was stocked, fresh towels folded in perfect thirds. Miniature bottles of shampoo lined up like soldiers. New trash bag. Gloves on, the thin latex kind that made her hands sweat. There was no reason to hesitate. Except her pulse was too fast, her hands unsteady, and she could still picture him, standing in the hallway watching. She knocked. 2 short raps, the way she always did. Waited. Footsteps inside, slow, deliberate. Come in. His voice was low, controlled, not unkind. Lisa swiped her keycard, hands shaking just slightly, just enough to make the card slip the first time, and pushed the door open. The suite looked different from the standard rooms, bigger. A sitting area with a leather couch, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, king bed that looked untouched. Everything was neat, almost sterile, like he hadn't really been there at all. Victor Hale stood near the window, his back to her. Dark suit jacket, white shirt. He stood like someone used to being listened to, shoulders back, spine straight. She recognized that posture, the man from the hallway. Good afternoon, Mr. Hale. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Professional, practiced. I'm here to clean your room. You don't have to. She froze, still holding the cart handle. I'm sorry. He turned slowly, and she saw his face for the first time. Older than her, mid-30s maybe. Dark eyes, almost black in the afternoon light. A sharp jaw, lines around his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights, and something else in his expression. Worn, but not the way she was worn. It was deeper, long-lasting, like something that had settled in years ago and never left. The room's fine, he said. His gaze didn't waver. You don't need to clean it. Lisa looked at the cart, then back at him. Her throat was dry again. Okay, but I was told you requested me specifically, so I thought... I did. Her breath caught, like the air had been pulled out of her lungs. Victor watched her like he already knew something she didn't, like he recognized her. Why? The word slipped out before she could stop it. Too direct, too personal, but it was out. He was quiet for a moment. His jaw tightened, just slightly, just enough to notice. Then, softly, because I wanted to make sure you were okay. The words didn't make sense. They circled in her mind, refusing to land. Do I know you? Her voice sounded smaller now, uncertain. No. Then how do you... Your name tag? He nodded toward the plastic badge pinned to her uniform. Lisa. She didn't believe him, not really. There was something too smooth in the way he said it, too prepared. But she didn't know how to push back without sounding like she'd lost it. I should go. She tightened her grip on the cart handle and turned toward the door. The metal felt cool under her palm, steadying. If you don't need the room cleaned... Wait. She stopped, didn't turn. Just stood there, back to him, heart pounding so hard, she felt it in her throat. I'm sorry. His voice was closer now. Not too close, but near enough for her to hear the edge in it. The strain. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I needed to know you were all right. Why would you need that? She turned slowly to face him. His jaw tightened again. For a moment, he didn't speak. He stood there, hands still at his sides like he was holding himself back. Then, quietly, because someone I cared about asked me to. Lisa's pulse stumbled. Who? Victor's gaze held hers, dark, steady, worn. Your brother? The word hit her like a fist to the chest. Lisa went numb. Her grip slipped from the cart, just slightly, just enough for the wheels to roll. The squeaking sounded too loud in the quiet room. What did you just say? Victor didn't move, didn't blink. He just stood there, eyes too steady, like he knew too much. Your brother, he repeated, softer this time. Careful. Like he was holding something fragile. Leo? Her throat closed. Leo. No one said his name anymore. Not anyone who knew, and the ones who didn't matter. She'd learned to carry his memory like a stone in her pocket. Heavy, smooth, silent. You didn't know him. Her voice shook. I did. No. She backed up. Her hip hit the cart and it rolled, the wheel squeaking again. No, you're lying. You're some kind of... We were friends, Victor said, calm. Too calm, like he'd practiced this. In college. Then we went into business together for 6 years. Her chest tightened. She pressed her palm to her sternum right over her heart, trying to ground herself. The pressure helped, barely. He never mentioned you. I wouldn't expect him to. You were 16 when he died. Victor's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes softened, just barely. He didn't talk to you about business. He talked about getting you out, making sure you had a future. The room tilted. Lisa grabbed the edge of the cart to steady herself. The metal pressed into her hand. Solid. Real. Why are you here? Her voice cracked. Why now? Victor's jaw tightened. She saw the muscle jump beneath the skin. Because you're turning 26 in 3 months. She stared at him. So? So that's when you inherit. The words didn't land. She shook her head too fast, too hard, and her bun loosened. A strand of hair fell into her face. Inherit what? Leo didn't have anything. He was just starting out. He had more than you knew. Her arms folded across her chest. She dug her fingers into her biceps, bracing herself, holding together. The way she used to when caseworkers gave her a new placement. When foster parents said it wasn't working. When the hospital called to say Leo was gone. I don't understand. I know. Victor took a slow step closer. Not looming, just closing the gap. And I'm sorry. I should have done this differently. Should have warned you. But I didn't know how. He stopped, exhaled. I needed to see you first. See me? She echoed the words like they didn't make sense. You've been watching me? Yes. For how long? Victor tensed again. That same tightness in his jaw. From a distance, on and off for years. Actively? The last 3 weeks. Her stomach turned. That's... I know how it sounds. His voice was steady, but something raw lived underneath. I wasn't trying to scare you. I wanted to make sure you were safe. Safe from what? He didn't answer right away, and in the silence she felt it, that pressure, the weight of something she hadn't seen coming. Something older, bigger, waiting for her without her knowing. Something with teeth. I think you should sit down, Victor said quietly. I don't want to sit down. Her voice was sharp now, firm. I want you to tell me what the hell is going on. His gaze didn't waver. Your brother left you money, Lisa, a lot of it, and there are people who don't want you to have it. Lisa didn't sit. She stood in the middle of the suite, arms still crossed, her nails digging into her biceps hard enough to leave marks. The pain helped, kept her present. That doesn't make sense, she said. Her voice sounded hollow, like it came from somewhere else. Leo didn't have money. We were barely scraping by when he... She couldn't finish the sentence, couldn't force the word died past her lips. Victor's face was careful, guarded, like every word had to be weighed before it left his mouth. He was building something. For you. What does that mean? It means he worked himself half to death trying to make sure you'd be taken care of, and when he ran out of options, he borrowed money to keep going. Her chest tightened like a fist was closing around her lungs. Borrowed from who? People he shouldn't have. The words dropped between them like lead. Lisa shook her head. No. Leo was careful. He wouldn't have put himself in danger like that. He would if it meant protecting you. Her throat burned. She blinked hard, refusing to cry in front of this man, this stranger, who claimed to know her brother better than she did. I don't believe you. Her voice trembled anyway. Victor didn't push back. Instead, he reached into his jacket, slowly, deliberately, and pulled out a folded piece of paper. He held it out to her. Lisa stared at it. What is that? Proof. She didn't move. I don't want it, she said. I know. His voice was quiet. But you need it. Her hands shook as she took the paper. The edges were worn like it had been opened and refolded too many times. She opened it carefully, eyes scanning the words, even though she didn't want to see them. It was a letter. Handwritten. Leo's handwriting. She recognized it instantly. The looping R's, the heavy pen pressure that made the ink bleed slightly. Victor, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it. I need you to do something for me. I need you to take care of Lisa. She doesn't know about the money yet. She doesn't know about any of it. But when she turns 26, she'll inherit everything. And I need you to make sure she gets it. Make sure she's safe. I know I'm asking a lot, but you're the only person I trust with this. Please, Victor, don't let her go through this alone. Leo. Her vision blurred. The paper trembled in her hands. She read it again and again, as if the words might change into something that made sense. They didn't. He knew, she whispered. He knew he was going to die. Victor's voice was rough. I think so. Yeah. Her legs gave out. She sank onto the edge of the couch, didn't plan to, didn't think about it. Her body just stopped. The leather was cool beneath her, steady. She still held the letter, her brother's last words, his handwriting, the only thing he'd left her. Victor didn't move. He didn't come closer, just stood there, giving her time, his hands clenched at his sides like he was fighting the urge to reach out. Lisa looked up at him. Tears streaked her face. She didn't wipe them away. Why didn't you come sooner? Her voice cracked. If he asked you to take care of me, why did you wait 10 years? Victor's jaw tensed. His answer came low. Because when Leo died, you were 16. A kid. I wasn't family. I had no legal standing. If I'd tried to get involved, it would have raised questions or worse. It could have made things harder for you. Lisa didn't speak. I thought maybe when you turned 18, I could reach out. But by then, you were gone. Out of the system. No records, no contact info. I lost track of you. Her breath hitched. She didn't move. It took time to find you again. When I finally did, you were working, living on your own. I didn't want to disrupt that. So I stayed back, helped quietly, watched over you without stepping in. Lisa blinked slowly, trying to absorb it. The apartment, she said. The hotel job? He nodded. I called in a favor with the owner. Made sure you got it. Her hands trembled. The letter crumpled slightly in her grip. And the monthly checks, she asked. Why, there's no foster youth support program, is there? Her chest ached. Is there? No. All of it was you. Yes. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her whole life, the one she'd barely kept afloat, the one that had looked like luck and timing, hadn't been luck at all. It had been him, a stranger, quiet in the background, pulling strings she didn't even know were there. You've been watching me this whole time? Her voice was hollow. Yes. And I never knew. No. She didn't know what to feel. Anger, gratitude, grief. It all collided in her chest, impossible to separate. What happens now? She asked. Victor's gaze softened. Now I tell you the truth. All of it. And then you decide if you want my help. She sat there for a long moment, eyes on the letter, letting the truth settle, letting it ache. Don't let her go through this alone. Then, slowly, she drew in a shaky breath, wiped her face with the back of her hand, pulled herself together, not all the way, not completely, just enough. She looked at Victor and said, Okay. They moved to the sitting area. Lisa sat on the edge of the leather couch, hands folded tightly in her lap until her knuckles went white. The leather smelled expensive, rich, almost sweet. It made her hyper-aware of her uniform, the faint chemical scent clinging to her skin, the worn fabric at her elbows. Victor sat across from her in the armchair. He didn't lean back, elbows on his knees, shoulders tense. Close enough that she could see it in him, the way he held still but ready. How much do you know about what Leo did for a living? His voice was measured, careful. Lisa shrugged slightly. The movement felt stiff. Not much. He said he was in business. Development, I think. He didn't really talk about it with me. That's because he didn't want you to worry. Worry about what? Victor exhaled slowly through his nose. Leo and I started a real estate development company when we were 24. Small stuff at first, flipping houses, renovating apartment buildings. We were good at it. He paused. Better than good. Within 3 years, we were pulling in real money. Lisa's brow furrowed. The crease between her eyebrows deepened. Then why was he? Because he wanted to give you more than what we were making. Victor's voice went quieter, rougher. He wanted you to have options. College, a place to live, a life that didn't feel like survival. Her throat tightened. She swallowed against it. So he started pushing? Victor continued. Got bigger projects, riskier deals. I told him to slow down. We didn't need to move that fast. His jaw tensed, but he wouldn't listen. Why not? Because your 16th birthday was coming up. He knew the system was going to move you again. He'd been fighting to get custody for 2 years. Every time he got close, something fell through. Money, housing. The courts didn't think a 26-year-old single guy was stable enough. Lisa's chest ached, a deep, hollow ache that made it hard to breathe. She'd known Leo was trying. He'd told her, but she hadn't known how hard, how desperate. He needed capital for a project that would have changed everything, Victor said. Commercial development downtown. If it worked, we'd have cleared 8 figures, but we didn't have the cash up front. The bank said no, too risky, too leveraged. She already knew where this was going, could feel it settling into her bones. So he went somewhere else, she said quietly. Victor met her eyes. Yes. Where? His jaw locked. A private lender. Someone who didn't care about credit checks. Someone who just wanted a return, with interest. The air felt thinner. Lisa tried to breathe, but it didn't fill her lungs. How much? Her voice was barely a whisper. 2 million. The number hit her like ice water. She flinched. That's a lot, I know. Victor's expression didn't change, but his eyes darkened. I didn't know about it at the time. He kept it quiet, paid the interest out of pocket so I wouldn't see it in the books. But a month before he died, the deal fell through. Our partner pulled out. Leo realized he couldn't pay it back. Lisa's hands trembled. She pressed them flat to her thighs. The rough fabric scratched her palms. What did he do? He came to me. Victor's voice turned rough. Told me everything. Asked for help. I told him we'd figure it out. Sell off assets, restructure, whatever it took. He paused. But I needed time. Lisa could see it now. The shape of what was coming. He didn't have time, she whispered. Victor shook his head, slow and deliberate. No, he didn't. Silence stretched between them, thick, suffocating. How did he die? She asked. Her voice was small. Victor looked away, his jaw so tight she thought it might snap. Officially, car accident, late at night. No other vehicles involved. Ruled an accident. But you don't think it was? His gaze returned to hers, steady, certain. No, I don't. Lisa's breath shuddered. You think they killed him? I think they made it clear what would happen if he didn't pay. And I think he was driving too fast, too distracted trying to fix it. Maybe he lost control. Maybe they ran him off the road. I don't know. But it wasn't just an accident. Her vision blurred. She pressed her palms to her eyes, hard enough to see stars, hard enough to hurt. The loan was in his name, Victor continued, voice gentler now. It should have died with him. But he used his half of the business as collateral, which means when you inherit the debt. Lisa dropped her hands, stared at him. What? Leo set up a trust, his business shares, savings, everything. It all comes to you at 26. But the lender knows, and they've been waiting. For 10 years? They're patient, and they know I've been managing Leo's half in the meantime. It's worth a hell of a lot more now. Lisa's hands were shaking harder now. How much do they want? 10 million. The number didn't feel real. It was too big. Too far from anything she'd ever known. She opened her mouth, closed it. Her thoughts spun. She'd worried about rent, about buying new shoes for work. Now, 10 million. Her voice cracked. I don't have that. You will once the trust transfers, but they don't want to wait for you to sell anything. They want cash. Now. What does that even mean? Her throat ached. Victor's voice softened. It means they want their money like yesterday. Tears slipped down Lisa's face. She twisted her hands together in her lap, trying to hold on. Victor leaned forward, his gaze locked on hers. I know it's a lot, but I will take care of it, like I should have years ago. Lisa couldn't breathe. The air felt too hot, too thin. What do we do? She whispered. Victor's voice didn't waver. We make them go away, permanently. Victor insisted on driving her home. Lisa didn't argue. She felt hollowed out, drained. She sat in the passenger seat of his car, sleek and black, smelling of leather, cedar, and money, and stared out the window as the city slid past. The late afternoon sun caught on glass buildings, turning them gold. Everything looked too bright, too sharp. Victor didn't try to fill the silence. He just drove. One hand on the wheel, the other resting on the gear shift. Every few minutes, he glanced at her, checking, making sure she was still there. When they pulled up outside her building, he went still. Lisa glanced at him. His jaw was tight, his grip on the steering wheel so hard, his knuckles had gone white. This is it? He asked, voice low and controlled. Yeah. She looked out the windshield at the building, saw it the way he must be seeing it. Old, worn, cracks running through the front steps, brick facade crumbling. A second-floor window boarded up with sun-faded plywood. Her face warmed. It's not much, but it's... How long have you lived here? His voice had gone flat, tight. 5 years, since I got the hotel job. His jaw clenched harder. She heard his teeth click. Lisa reached for the door handle. Thanks for the ride. Wait. She paused, looked at him. Victor turned toward her. Something raw in his expression. Something that looked like it hurt to admit. Can I come up? Just for a minute. I want to make sure... He stopped, exhaled. I just want to see where you're staying. She should have said no, should have told him it was fine, that she didn't need anyone checking on her, but she was too tired to argue. Okay. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor, no elevator. The stairwell smelled like mildew and something vaguely chemical, maybe cleaning fluid, maybe something worse. The walls were painted institutional beige, scuffed. Fingerprints near the light switches. Victor followed her in silence. His footsteps behind hers were heavy, steady. She could feel him behind her, could feel the pressure of his presence, the quiet tension radiating from him like heat. When she unlocked her door and pushed it open, she saw the place through his eyes. Small. One room, barely. A kitchenette in the corner, hot plate, microwave, mini fridge that buzzed like it was struggling. A futon that doubled as bed and couch, covered in a thin blanket from Goodwill. A folding table near the window where she ate. The walls were thin. Her neighbor's TV buzzed faintly through them. Always on. Always loud. Victor stepped inside, slowly. His eyes swept the space, taking in everything. The ceiling crack, the water stain on the wall, the space heater in the corner because the building's heat never worked right. He didn't say anything, but she saw his hands clench at his sides. His jaw so tight the muscle jumped. It's not that bad, she said quietly, defensively. He turned toward her, and the look in his eyes made her chest ache. Lisa, I know what you're thinking. Her voice came out sharper than she intended. But I'm fine. I've been fine. I don't need you to feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for you. His voice was rough. I'm angry. She blinked. At me? At myself. He looked away, jaw still working. You've been living like this for 5 years, and I should have done more. You didn't know me? That's not an excuse. It's the truth. Lisa crossed her arms, holding herself together. You didn't owe me anything. You still don't. Victor's gaze snapped back to hers, sharp, steady. He was my best friend, and he asked me to take care of you. That means something. To you, maybe? Her voice cracked. But not to me. I've been taking care of myself since I was 16. I don't need you swooping in now to fix things because you feel guilty. Victor stared at her for a long beat, his face unreadable, then quietly, You're right. You don't need me. but I'm asking you to let me help anyway." She didn't know what to say. He stepped closer. Not looming, just closing the space between them. "I know I can't undo the last 10 years, he said. "I can't give you back what you lost, but I can make sure the next 10 are better. I can make sure you're safe." His voice dropped. "Will you let me do that?" Lisa's throat burned. She looked down at her hands, blinked hard. "Why do you care so much?" she whispered. Victor was silent for a long time. When he finally answered, his voice was barely audible. "Because he did." 4 days later, Lisa noticed the car. She was walking home from her shift, feet aching, back sore, the smell of cleaning chemicals still clinging to her skin, when she saw it. Black sedan, tinted windows, parked across the street from her building. It had been there the night before, too. She'd noticed it then but hadn't thought much of it. People parked on the street all the time, but now it was back. Same spot, engine off, just sitting there. Lisa's pulse picked up. She kept walking, her keys already in her hand, clenched tight enough that the metal dug into her palm. She climbed the stairs to her building without looking back, unlocked the front door, slipped inside. Her hands trembled. She went straight to her apartment, locked the door behind her, walked to the window and peeked through the curtain's gap. The car was still there. She pulled out her phone, hesitated, then texted the number Victor had given her. "There's a car outside my building. It's been here 2 nights in a row." The response came almost immediately. "What kind of car?" "Black sedan. Tinted windows. I can't see the plates from here. Stay inside. Lock the door. I'm coming." Her chest tightened. "You don't have to. I'm already on my way." Lisa set the phone down, pressed her forehead to the cool window glass, and watched the street below. The car didn't move. 23 minutes later, she counted, Victor's car pulled up in front of her building. He stepped out. 2 other men got out with him, his security team. She'd seen them around these past few days. They moved with purpose, controlled. Each step deliberate, practiced. Victor walked straight toward the sedan. His security team hung back a few paces. Lisa's breath caught. She couldn't hear what he was saying, but she watched his posture, tense, coiled, ready. He leaned down toward the driver's window, said something, waited. The sedan's engine started. Then it drove away. Victor watched it go, hands at his sides, fists clenched. Then he looked up at her window. Even from 3 stories up, she could see the strain in his face, the hard line of his jaw. Her phone buzzed. "I'm coming up." Victor didn't knock. She'd left the door unlocked. He stepped inside and closed it behind him. For a moment, he stood still, scanning the room like he was checking for damage, making sure everything was as it should be, making sure she was as she should be. Only one security guy had followed him in. The other was probably still outside, keeping watch. "Are you okay?" His voice was rough. Lisa nodded. "Yeah, I'm fine." "Did they approach you? Say anything?" "No, I just saw the car and..." She shook her head. "I don't even know if it was them. Maybe I'm being paranoid." "You're not." His voice left no room for doubt. "They're watching, testing to see if you're alone, if you're vulnerable." Her stomach turned. "What did you say to them?" "I told them to back off. If they want something, they talk to me. And they just left? For now." His gaze darkened. "But they'll be back." Lisa sank onto the futon. Her legs gave out beneath her. The old springs groaned under her weight, too loud in the quiet room. Victor hesitated. "Lisa," he said gently. She looked up at him. "I need you to pack a few things. I'm getting you out of here tonight." "What?" She frowned. "Where?" "My place or a hotel. Your call. But I can't protect you here." "But," she started. "They will be back, Lisa, and I might not get here in time." She studied him, the sharp line of his jaw, the way his shoulders held tension like he was bracing for impact. "Okay," she said softly, because he was right. He was trying to protect her. She wasn't going to make that harder. He exhaled slowly. "So, which will it be?" "Your choice," she said, walking over to the small drawer where she kept her clothes. It creaked as she opened it. She started pulling out what little she owned. Everything could fit into a backpack. Victor was texting someone as she moved around the room. All set, she said a few minutes later, holding the bag. He gave her a look that said, "Really?" She lifted a hand in a half shrug. "That's it, unless you want to take the futon." "Nope," he said, and walked her out of the apartment. If it had been a straight drive, she figured it would have taken 40 minutes. But Victor didn't go straight home. He made 3 stops, clothing stores, all high-end, and insisted she pick out what she needed. She tried to argue. He shut it down. Now, stepping out of his car, one of his security guys carried 4 bags filled with things she never thought she'd wear, let alone own. His house was massive. She'd asked him in the car why he'd been staying at the hotel if he lived this close. He told her he'd wanted a neutral space, somewhere that wouldn't scare her off. Looking at the place now, gated, modern, sleek with glass and concrete and security cameras, she understood. A month ago, it would have terrified her. 6 weeks had passed since Lisa moved into Victor's house. 6 weeks of waking up in a bedroom bigger than her old apartment, of coffee already brewed when she came downstairs, of Marie, the housekeeper, greeting her with a soft smile and fresh towels, of Thomas, the cook, asking what she wanted for dinner like it mattered. 6 weeks of being driven to the hotel by Victor or one of his security guys, usually Marcus. She'd refused to quit. Told Victor she needed something that was hers. He didn't argue. He just made sure she was never alone. 2 weeks ago, Karen had pulled her aside at work, said her shift had changed, said they didn't need her on the longer hours anymore. Lisa knew what that meant. Victor had stepped in. Quietly. No one said it, but she felt it. Now her days felt strange, off-kilter. She worked until 2, then came home to Marie folding laundry or Thomas chopping vegetables in the enormous kitchen. At least 2 security guards were always nearby, at the doors, walking the grounds, watchful but never in the way. And every night Victor came home. They ate dinner at the long table that still felt too big. Too formal, but Thomas made her favorites now. Dishes she'd only mentioned once, somehow remembered, and Victor asked about her day like he truly wanted to know. Tonight they'd eaten on the terrace, grilled salmon with lemon and herbs, roasted vegetables that tasted nothing like the canned ones she used to live on, fresh bread, warm from the oven. Now they sat in the backyard as the sun dipped low, turning the sky soft shades of orange and pink. Lisa held a glass of wine, something red and smooth that Victor had poured for her. She could taste the richness, feel the warmth bloom in her chest. The air had cooled. A light breeze drifted across the lawn, carrying the scent of jasmine. It lifted the strands of hair that had slipped from her ponytail and brushed across her skin like a soft touch. Victor sat beside her on the outdoor couch, his own glass in hand. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, his tie loosened. He looked more at ease than she'd ever seen him. The silence between them was easy, comfortable, but Lisa wanted to ask. "Tell me about him," she said quietly. Victor looked at her. "About Leo?" "Yeah, I want to know what he was like, with you, before everything went wrong." He was quiet for a long moment. His gaze turned inward, focused on something only he could see. Then he spoke. He told her about college. How they'd met by accident, assigned to the same dorm room. How Leo walked in with a duffel bag and a 6-pack of cheap beer and said, "You look like you need a friend." He told her about late nights studying for exams they both failed. The summer they worked construction, 12-hour shifts in brutal heat, just to save money for the business. The way Leo used to talk about her, his little sister, the one good thing in his life, the reason he worked so hard. He carried a picture of you in his wallet. Victor said, voice softer now. One of those school photos. You were maybe 13, ponytail, braces. Lisa's throat tightened. The wine glass felt heavy in her hand. I remember that picture. I hated it. He loved it, showed it to everyone. Victor's smile was faint, sad. Said you were going to do something amazing one day? Her eyes burned. She blinked down at the wine. The surface rippled slightly in the breeze. I miss him. She whispered, So do I. They fell quiet again. The kind of silence that held weight. The kind that didn't press down, it just was. Familiar. Heavy. A bird called from somewhere across the lawn. Wind rustled the trees at the edge of the property. Lisa pulled her knees to her chest and balanced her wine on one knee. What was it like? Victor asked. After he died? Lisa took a slow breath. lonely. I was still in the system. They moved me again a month later. New foster home. I didn't connect with anyone, just kept my head down, waited to age out. And then I turned 18. They gave me a month to find somewhere to go. I couch surfed, stayed with a girl from my last placement until her parents got tired of me, slept in my car for 2 weeks. She exhaled. Then that apartment opened up. Affordable housing, they said. Program for kids aging out of the system. I thought I got lucky. Victor's jaw tensed. She saw it even from the side, the way his muscles tightened. It wasn't luck. I know that now. She looked at him. The last light of day caught on his face, softened the sharp lines. Why didn't you just tell me? Why hide? Because I didn't know if you'd want my help or trust me. His voice was hoarse, and because I was afraid that if I got too close, He stopped, looked away. You'd what? The breeze stirred his hair, carried the scent of his cologne, cedar and something clean toward her. Then, so quietly she almost missed it. I'd fail you the way I failed him. Lisa set her glass down, turned to face him fully. You didn't fail him. I did. His voice was tight, controlled. I didn't see how bad it had gotten, didn't ask the right questions, didn't push. And by the time I knew, he broke off. His hands clenched around the glass. It was too late. Victor, he called me that night. His eyes were wet now, shining in the dark. I told him to go home and sleep. I said we'd fix it in the morning. His voice cracked. There was no morning. Lisa reached out, took his hand, threaded her fingers through his. His palm was warm, solid. That's not your fault, she said firmly. It feels like it is. I know, but it's not. They sat like that as the sun vanished behind the horizon, as the sky shifted from orange to deep blue, as the first stars appeared. Lisa shivered slightly in the cool air. Without a word, Victor set his wine down and draped his jacket over her shoulders. It smelled like him. Warm, clean, steady. Thank you, she said softly. For the jacket? For everything. Victor gave her hand a gentle squeeze. You don't have to thank me. I know. She looked at him, really looked. But I want to. Something shifted in his expression, softened. His eyes stayed on hers, and for a long moment the grief between them didn't feel like a weight anymore. It felt like a thread, something tying them together. Lisa, he started, but she didn't let him finish. She squeezed his hand and leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. They sat like that as night settled around them, holding on to each other, not because they had to, but because they could. It was easy to forget sometimes. Easy to forget she was living in Victor's house because someone wanted to hurt her, that men with guns were stationed at every exit, that somewhere out there people were waiting for her 26th birthday to come so they could take everything Leo had left her. Easy to forget when Victor came home every night and asked about her day, when Thomas made her favorite pasta without needing to be told, when Marie left fresh flowers in her room, white roses that smelled like something close to peace. Easy to forget when Victor looked at her the way he'd been looking at her lately, like she was something fragile and important. 10 weeks. She'd been here 10 weeks now, and something had shifted. It started small. His hand brushing hers when he passed her the salt. The way he reached out to steady her when she tripped. His palm warm against her back, lingering a second longer than necessary. The way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention. She caught him once. Sitting across from her in the living room, a book open in his lap, he clearly wasn't reading. Just watching her, his gaze soft, unfiltered. When she looked up and met his eyes, he didn't look away. He just held her gaze until her breath hitched and her pulse stumbled, and she had to glance down at her own book to recover. It kept happening. Subtle touches, charged silences. Moments stretched thin with something unnamed but very much alive. She had almost forgotten why she was here. Almost. Sometimes, late at night, she remembered. The black sedan, the phone call, the voice that spoke her name like a warning. But Victor didn't talk about it anymore, didn't mention the debt, the danger. When she asked carefully, he'd only say, I'm working on it. You don't need to worry. And she'd let it go, Because she trusted him. Because she didn't want to know what came next. Because knowing meant admitting this, whatever it was between them, might not last. But there were other things now. Things that tugged at her, at work. Her locker had been open one morning. She was sure she'd locked it. The combination lock was still there, just unlatched. Nothing missing, but it was wrong. Then, her cart. The towels had been stacked differently. The cleaners were out of order. She tried to shrug it off. Maybe Karen had restocked. Maybe she was tired and just didn't remember. But it kept happening. A door she'd closed would be open again. A cleaned room would have new footprints in the carpet. Once she found a receipt tucked under a pillow she'd just fluffed. Harmless. But her heart had thudded like it wasn't. She didn't tell Victor. Didn't want to worry him. Didn't want to lose her job. The last piece of her life that still felt like hers. So she said nothing. Tried to focus on the good instead. Like tonight. Victor had come home early, found her in the kitchen with Thomas, learning how to make the pasta sauce she loved. Her hands were dusted with flour. There was probably some on her face. Victor had paused in the doorway, watching her. Quiet, still. That same look again, soft and warm and something deeper. "What?" she'd asked, laughing nervously. "Nothing." But he was smiling. "You have flour on your nose." She reached up to wipe it off, but he crossed the kitchen before she could. He caught her wrist gently. "Let me," he said. Then his thumb brushed across her nose. Slow, intentional. His gaze locked on hers. She forgot how to breathe. Thomas cleared his throat loudly, muttered something about checking the bread, and disappeared into the pantry. But Victor didn't step back. Didn't let go. "Lisa?" he said. His voice was low, rough. "Yeah?" It barely came out. He stopped, his jaw tightened, that same twitch she'd come to recognize when he was trying not to say something. Then he stepped back, let go. "I should let you finish," he said, and walked out before she could reply. She stood frozen for a full minute, heart pounding, wrists still tingling where he'd touched her. When Thomas came back, he looked at her face and shook his head. "That man is in trouble," he muttered. "What?" "Nothing, Piccola." He handed her a spoon. "Stir, before it burns." Now, hours later, Lisa sat in her room with the lights off, staring out the window at the pool below. Victor was in it, swimming laps, back and forth, his strokes sharp, controlled, like he was trying to outrun something. He wasn't wearing a suit tonight, just a plain black t-shirt and swim shorts. His hair slicked back from the water, his movements fast, focused. She wondered if he felt it too, this tension between them, this pull, this ache. Because she did. Every time he looked at her, touched her, walked away, she didn't know what she wanted anymore. Except, when he looked at her, she felt known. When he touched her, she felt safe. And when he left the room, she felt the absence like a bruise. That had to mean something, didn't it? That brings us to the end of part 1 of this amazing story. And I know cliffhangers are the worst, but I promise, part 2 is just a click away. Continue with "He promised my brother he'd protect me. Now my life's in danger," part 2. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe for more Veiled Pen stories. Thanks for being here.